I found out that my girlfriend of 9 years cheated on me with a 45-year-old man who has a family. I am D, and my now ex-girlfriend, Chris, and I have been together since high school, 9 years of being best friends and partners. We've been through a lot together, including a brief time apart during college, but we always came back stronger. Until recently, I believed our love was unbreakable. But in October, my whole world fell apart. It all started in August 2024, when I noticed a few changes. Chris wasn't responding as often, and although she had just started a new job as a receptionist, it still felt off. I trusted her, and even encouraged her to have her own social life. But I started feeling uneasy. A friend suggested that I follow her, which I did, and I soon discovered that a man from her workplace, a driver in his early 40s with a family, was driving her to work. Chris had never shown an interest in drinking before. She started going out, claiming she needed space to focus on herself. On October 20th, I followed my instincts and went to her office in the rain, only to find them on a video call. It broke my heart to see her looking happy and wearing a sleeveless top, something she'd only ever done for me. When I confronted her later that night, she denied everything, which only added to my pain and confusion. I told my sister, and the next day, I felt completely lost. On October 28th, our 9th anniversary, I went to her house with flowers and a letter. While she was asleep, I checked her phone and found months of messages with the driver, calling each other love and going on dates. When I confronted her, she initially denied it and broke down in guilt. I told her I loved her and left devastated. Since then, her family has turned against her, and she has been messaging me, accusing me of ruining her career and life. I don't know where I went wrong, but I'm choosing to move on and focus on myself. I loved deeply and learned a hard lesson. I hope one day to find someone who values loyalty as much as I do. Edit. Thank you so much to everyone for the sincere comments. I deeply appreciate them, even though I don't know any of you personally. Each comment means a lot to me. To clarify some of your questions, how did her family get involved? How did her workplace get involved? Why is she blaming me? Why aren't we living together? Does she have unresolved family issues? Here's some context. We are both Asian and come from conservative families. As is often the case in our culture, there is a strong sense of family loyalty and collective mindset, where family members are expected to stay close but still keep their personal activities separate. It said if things ever get too intense, our parents usually support us if we choose to live separately. Now about her family. We were together for 9 years, so I was close to them. I have a particularly good relationship with her brother, Jay, whom I confided in about what I had witnessed, providing evidence. He was immediately angry and took action, messaging the family driver to tell him off and ordering him to disappear, and calling his police friends. Jay even waited at her office to confront this guy. He also told their mother, who works for the Supreme Court, about what happened. Since I am also close to her mother, I reached out directly, sending her evidence as well. She left work and went home, and the reaction was extreme. She disciplined my ex for hours. Asian parents can be strict, especially if they feel dishonor. This was no exception. Mother was furious because it could easily become a scandal if it went public. My ex is mad at me because of this. She blames me for the severe discipline she faced, which lasted all night. Not only did her mother discipline her, but her entire family, including uncles, aunts, and her 5 siblings, scolded her, telling her she had done something terrible. That's why she's saying I ruined her image with her family and co-workers. Her workplace got involved after I contacted a close co-worker of hers to see what they knew. To my surprise, they were aware of the situation the whole time. I felt betrayed, knowing they had been complicit, which made me even angrier. My ex claims I ruined her career because her mother wants to go to her office and speak to HR to find out who this guy was and what really happened. Fortunately, nothing physical occurred between them, my ex and the driver. In the end, her mother thanked me and expressed sadness for what I went through, especially after I told them I was ending the relationship because of it. And to answer the final question, yes, she has unresolved issues with her father that have affected her a lot. I'd also like to get therapy because after the event, I had some kind of panic or anxiety attack, and scenarios of everything that happened kept replaying in my head. It's like I know I'm breathing, but I also struggle to catch my breath. Even though I am physically well-built for my age, this situation has been mentally overwhelming.
She cheated and blames you for ruining her life. Unbelievable. I know it's been 9 years, but you're still young and should consider yourself lucky because you dodged a big bullet. It might not feel that way now, but there's someone out there for you who will love and be faithful to you.
I know this is devastating. 9 years is a long time, but do exactly what you said. Focus on yourself. Only on you. Hit the gym. Focus on your career. Take up hobbies you couldn't do with her. Live your best life. That's how you move on, and it's also the best way to get revenge.
I caught my wife sending photos to my brother-in-law. My wife Jessica and I have been married for 3 years. I'm married to Jessica. We dated for 2 years before that. We also have a 2-year-old daughter. Jessica has 2 sisters. The older one is married to a guy named Jay. About a week ago, I came home from work early and thought it'd be fun to surprise Jessica. I tried to sneak up on her, and I slipped and ended up hurting my back. Jessica rushed to help me, taking me to our room before heading to the kitchen to grab an ice pack. Her phone was on the bed, and I saw a WhatsApp notification pop up from Jay saying, "You have the best hair I've ever seen." Right then, I knew something was up. I unlocked her her phone and saw she had recently sent Jake some pictures and videos. There were no older messages. When Jessica came back, I showed her the messages and simply asked how long. Jessica and I have known each other for 10 years. I'd never seen her look so stunned. Her eyes welled up. She said, "Honey, I'm so sorry, but I can't explain." So I told her to go ahead. According to her, she had some financial struggles back in late 2019, and Jake offered to help. He hinted he'd like to see her photos, so she sent some, and it continued over the years. She insists there was nothing emotional or physical. It was strictly transactional. I wasn't buying it, but she showed me a recent Venmo payment of $300 from it. I then asked, "It's been 5 years. Are you sure nothing physical happened?" To me, if even half of her story is true, how could this not get physical? She began crying harder and said she could prove it tomorrow. Jake might suspect something if she tried to reach out to him right away. I took her phone, went to a bar, stayed out all night, and when I returned, she was still there crying. I slept on the couch. The next morning, I returned her phone, and she called Jake. The conversation went something like this. "Jessica, hey, would you want some more photos?" "Jake, I'm short on cash. I spent everything yesterday." "Jessica, how about we meet this time? I've changed my mind about it." "Jake, no way. How much are we talking?" Felt like a punch in the gut. I told her it was over and went to work. I'm not a wealthy guy, but I'm stable enough to support my family. Now, I feel like I failed as a man, and my wife had to sell her body for the lifestyle she wanted. When I got home that night, she looked miserable. I asked her why she kept taking his money after we got married and why she didn't just ask me while we were dating. She said she didn't know how to stop and that it was easy money. That night, I left and told her she could have the house and the car. I wanted 50-50 custody of our daughter. So here I am a week later, staying at a hotel. I go home in the evenings to spend time with my daughter. I'm consulting divorce lawyers, while Jessica keeps suggesting marriage counseling. Update: many people suggested a paternity test. I don't need one. I know she's my daughter. I'm Indian, Jessica is white. My daughter looks just like me. As for the update, I ended up telling my cousin, who's the only family I have here in the US. She helped me realize that Army didn't want the divorce because I married Jessica against my parents' wishes. They wanted an arranged marriage for me. Admitting failure in this marriage hurt my pride. My cousin also set up a meeting with a divorce lawyer. In my state, adultery has little impact on asset division, so a 50-50 split is likely. However, I might have an advantage with custody since I have a stable job and Jessica doesn't. Plus, her involvement in intimate work could play in my favor. Last night, Jessica's dad called me in tears. He told me he didn't know what to say and that he would have left her if he were in my place. Apparently, Jessica got scared and confessed everything to her family, and I didn't go home for 2 days and blocked her. Jake is also out of his house now, so I think I'll file for divorce. There's no point in trying to reconcile when the entire relationship feels like a lie. Wow, she betrayed both her husband and her sister at the same time. His ex-wife and former brother-in-law should end up together now. She's been sending intimate messages to her brother-in-law throughout their entire relationship, and he's devastated. She's trying to sweep the affair under the rug. She'll have to choose between her daughters. She may not want to, but we all know where this is heading.
It's honestly sad how many comments are just people trying to make light of this guy's genuinely terrible situation. Like, sorry he doesn't have more interesting details about his life being turned upside down because of a betrayal.